we do not have Pinhead with us. We've got something equally terrifying. Our face from the past, Hereward. How are you doing?
I'm very good, man. I'm very good. Nice to be here again.
And just to, and again, I have to mention there's two amazing things that happened. We made the top 20 of UK film review charts, and we had Pod Rankers, one of the best geek podcasts for 2026. So I just have to say to my team, you guys are awesome. You're the best, and you've made this happen. And I just can't say any more than that. It's just really good. But don't worry, Doug Bradley will be back with us. We're rescheduling, just he had something else come up. Busy guy, as you can imagine. But Pinhead will be here eventually. We'll make sure of that. But with that, we decided in its place, we're going to celebrate some gaming goodness. And I'll hand over to you, Hereward. This is a game you mentioned many a time when we were goading you over doing the Bond ranking episodes.
Yeah. I think I was saying in our in the back rooms before we began, in the digital green room, I don't think this is the greatest video game ever made, but it's my favorite video game of all time, and I think it really is incredibly influential, incredibly important, and the creator of the game, Yoshihisa Kishimoto, actually died just last week at the rather too young age of 64. And when we heard Doug Bradley had to pull out today, I thought, okay, let's do it. Let's do the Double Dragon tribute. So yeah, here we are. And you can see Callum playing it there. He's not doing a bad job. He's just punching at the moment. But yeah. And you can see the game's beginning to slow down already, which is really, really common with Double Dragon. It's one of the things when there are more than a couple of sprites on the screen, it goes into slow motion mode. So Graham, tell me, what was your first encounter with Double Dragon?
My first encounter with Double Dragon was, I think it was on the Spectrum. I'm almost certain that it was a Spectrum port. So I would have been about 8 or 9. And then my friend in school, Gordon, got an Atari ST, which you may remember from such famous things as Atari. And Double Dragon was one of the first games he got. So quite often we were taking a joystick to each other's house, plugging it in, and badly punching and kicking and fly kicking our way through the mean streets of the city.
Yeah.
What was yours?
I'm guessing if your friend had an Atari ST, he probably had the Power Pack, which was like this huge bundle of games that came with it, and one of them was Double Dragon. I remember that because that was my introduction to Double Dragon. But Double Dragon on the ST, graphically, the sound was pretty good, I remember, but graphically it was weird. The sprites all had incredibly bouffant hair, more bouffant than they do in the actual arcade game here. But the year I got my Atari ST, I think that my family, I think we went on holiday like to Holland or something like that, and the hotel we were staying in had Double Dragon on the arcade there. And I had a go on it, and it just melted my mind. Compared to what I'd been playing on the Atari ST, it was so much harder. It was so much faster, even with the slowdown. And yeah, it just felt so much crunchier and more heavy hitting. And I think that was really when my love affair with side-scrolling or belt-scrolling beat-em-ups began. And I've been just a huge fan of them ever since. But yeah, I think we should just have some context really before we look at the influence of Double Dragon, because Double Dragon was not the first beat 'em up game on the arcades. Callum, do you know what the first beat 'em up was on arcades?
Was it IK Plus by any chance?
It wasn't. No, IK Plus was a computer game. I don't even think it was an arcade game.
All right.
No, the first side-scrolling beat 'em up, Graham.
Kung Fu Master.
It was IREM's Kung Fu Master, or Spartan X, as it was known in Japan. That was the first one. But Kung Fu Master is two-dimensional. It's on a single plane. Your character moves from one side of the screen to the other, goes upstairs and things like that. But and it's only sort of 1 or 2 hits to kill your opponents. And although you have the opponents absolutely swarming you, one hit and a lot of them disappear or are knocked out. It never felt like particularly bruising battles. I think these games, these belt scrollers, as you can see Callum in the video, for those that are just listening on the podcast, you're missing Callum having his arse handed to him by Bolo, the level 1 boss. He's getting tossed. Come on, use that back elbow, Callum. No, he's Bolo. No, he's not Mr. T. He's Bolo. Mr. T wants to be Bolo. Yeah. So Kung Fu Master was the first one, but the first one I think that we need to talk about today is also by Yoshihisa Kishimoto. And it's Neketsu Kuha Kunio-kun from 1986, which translates as hot-blooded tough guy Kunio-kun. So we could have Neketsu Kuha Graham, which is hot-blooded tough guy Graham. Yeah. Have you played that Kunio-kun game? Either of you?
No. I've also not played Renegade, which I believe it became.
Yeah, so Renegade is the port that came for the Western audiences, and it's I like Renegade. I like a bit of Kunio-kun, but it did some things that are different. It did some things that are not so good. Apparently, it's autobiographical. He had a messy breakup. Did Kishimoto, and he had a messy breakup with his girlfriend, and he was just getting into fights all the time. And that's basically the plot of Neketsu Kuha Kunio-kun, is just a Japanese schoolboy getting into fights with other Japanese schoolboys. The game itself is a bit of an advance on Spartan X or Kung Fu Master, in the sense that it's in a 3D kind of plane, so you can move up into the scenery and back down, as with most side-scrolling beat-em-ups. The screen does scroll from side to side, although the stages themselves are still kind of fixed. There is sort of an end on each side of the screen. So the screens are generally, I think they're about 3 or 4 screens long, and then you sort of reach the end. So it's more of like an arena fighter in 3D. And you're fighting multiple enemies at once, but unlike Kung Fu Master, it takes a lot of battering to get your opponents unconscious. So yeah, the idea of schoolboys fighting one another didn't really pass muster with the Western audiences, so it was reskinned as Renegade and given a kind of facelift. So all the Japanese schoolboy stuff was taken out, and instead we had it became rather like Walter Hill's The Warriors. So it was given a kind of gritty urban look, and the main character was no longer Kunio-kun in his white school uniform. He became a kind of nameless renegade, but not Lorenzo Lamas. He wore the same sort of leather waistcoat as the warriors in the movie do. It's quite fun. It's very difficult, but there's a lot. Unlike Kung Fu Master, where you can basically punch and kick and jump and punch, and that's it. The Renegade, you can do all sorts of things. You can run, you can punch, you can jump and stomp on people on the ground. I think you can get on them and start punching them in the face and stuff like this. It's pretty violent. The enemies have weapons, but you can't pick up weapons. And to be honest, I've never really got past the second level of it. It is rock hard. It's grueling, and when you die, you have to start from the beginning of the level again. So it's a pretty tough beat 'em up, but it was popular enough. But then 1987 comes around, and this is when Double Dragon was released. Callum, you're doing all right,
Yes.
but you've made the fatal mistake. No, you're not. You've made the fatal mistake of moving through the level too quickly. You've got too many enemies on screen now, so you're just going to get swarmed. Obviously, with 99 credits, I think you're going to be okay. But because Double Dragon did do this, even when you run out of credits, you can just put more money in and keep playing.
I wonder how much 99 credits would have cost back in the day. There's a question.
Well, to be honest, it's about. I remember playing Double Dragon for 10 pence a go, and then 20
I was going to
pence.
say it was about 10 pence a credit.
10 pence a credit. So you could easily finish it for 10 pence if you use the back elbow, which you're still not doing. Now, you're fighting Jeff here. That guy's called Jeff, Callum. You're never going to defeat him going...
Like all good tough guys.
Yes. He
doesn't have a particularly cool name. Turn your back to him and back elbow. Just keep back elbowing him. That's jump and punch together.
All right.
He will break free of any grapple you have on him and stuff like that. So yeah, jump and punch together will do the back elbow. That will put paid to him. So yeah, Double Dragon came out in 1987. Kishimoto drew on his love of kind of martial arts movies and sort of Mad Max post-apocalyptic setting. I think it's supposed to be New York after a nuclear war, though it does just look like New York, to be honest. The 80s New York, the 80s New York, yeah, just full of goons. Yeah. And the plot is pretty straightforward. There are two twin brothers, Billy and Jimmy Lee. You'll notice Kishimoto drew on Enter the Dragon. There are loads of the characters in this game are named after characters from Enter the Dragon. So you have Billy and Jimmy Lee, obviously named after Bruce Lee. That lass that's about to run away from you because you finished the level, she's just clearing off now. She's called Linda, of course, after Bruce Lee's wife.
Questioning the ethics of me trying to whip a woman right now in this game.
In fairness, Linda always comes at you with the whip first, so you're just retaliating. So,
Somebody me asking a wrestler for the worst babysitter seems tame in comparison now.
This guy with the baseball bat, he's called Roper. Oh, is he William? I think he's. One of them is Williams, and the other one is Roper. So they're named after people from Enter the Dragon as well. And then, of course, you've got some characters who aren't in Enter the Dragon. You've got Big Boss Willie, who's the guy that you'll fight at the end, who has a machine gun, which is totally unfair because you can't pick up the machine gun. And then you've got everyone's favorite Ababo. He's the guy in the first level that smashes through the wall. He's this huge kind of giant of a man with this strangely spherical head, and he if you get too close to him, he'll pick you up and toss you over his shoulder. He's a lot of fun to fight, and they're part of the Black Warriors.
Go on, Graham. Ababo kind of has this sort of the way his sprite was designed. Anyway, it's like, do you remember the Gumby men from Monty Python?
Yeah. Yes. And Ababo he kind of goes like this. He has this brilliant noise when he attacks. But yeah, Ababo is a peculiar looking chap. He's very top heavy. His legs are very spindly and small, and then he's just got this huge hulking body on top. So yeah, they're part of the Black Warriors, and they're this gang. And they one day come along and kidnap the girl. I think it's meant to be Billy's girlfriend, Marion, and the game opens with this little introduction sequence, which at the time was pretty rare for a game to give you a kind of motivator like this as a bit of almost plot. You can say, girl get kidnapped, blokes have to beat up loads of goons to rescue girl as a plot. It does sort of set it up in that way. And you see Marion get a punch to the gut and thrown over the shoulder of one of the goons and is taken away. And it sort of sets the tone for the adventure that follows. So let's look at the impact of Double. What did this game do first? Graham, tell me some of the things you think this classic of the arcades did first.
I know what one of them is, and Cal's demonstrating it just now. It was the first side-scrolling beat-em-up where you could pick up the weapons.
Yeah, the first. In fact, I might be wrong on this, and please, anyone in the comments, feel free to correct me on this. But I have a feeling this might be the first game where you could pick up different weapons.
Okay.
But it certainly is the first side-scrolling beat-em-up where the enemies would come with weapons. The different weapons you can get in the game, there are knives that are thrown. There are barrels and boxes that can be thrown or kicked, so they roll along the ground. There are whips that the Linders carry. And then, of course, there's the ever-popular baseball bat, which you can pick up. So the ability to pick up the weapons and that your enemies come at you and use them against the enemies, that was just amazing. And I think that was one of the first things, when I was playing it on the Atari ST, was just like, I can pick up a baseball bat and go to town on people with this. This is, little 7 or 8 year old me was like, this is great.
Slight tangent for you, Graham. What was the first game ever where you could pick up items and you had an inventory? You know the answer to this one, Hereward. You'll remember well.
No, I don't know.
This is one where you can't give a certain answer and you will be right in a way.
E.T. on the Atari.
No, it was Indiana Jones on the Atari.
Was it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, made by the same guy, the very lovely Howard Scott Warshaw.
Oh, he was a great chap. He was a lovely chap.
You could have just answered Atari there and it would have been the right answer in a way.
Generally, Atari is the right answer for everything,
Apart from what's better, Atari or Amiga.
I was an Atari person.
Hello in the chat. Anna Wade just said hello there, so hello back.
Hello there. Hello.
Hello.
Where was I? Okay, so first thing, you could pick up weapons, and you can see now Cal has a baseball bat. He's having a lot of fun with this. He's plowing through, what are we on, level 3 now. He's in the forest, and you can see the enemies, though. They're pretty smart. They stay out the way. Go pick up that knife now. Right. Yeah, and then you can throw the knife. There we go, you see.
As someone who grew up in very close proximity to Greenock, I feel like I should have given that advice.
Get the knife, Get the knife.
Get the knife.
Get the knife,
okay. So we are. Weapons. Weapons was the first thing that Double Dragon did that no other side-scrolling beat-em-up has done. And that now is like just so common in games to be able to pick up the weapons your enemies drop and stuff. This was the first one. So, hats off to Kishimoto for that one. Oh, you see, now you've got a big old Ababo to deal with. Yeah. Okay, Cal, tell us something else you think Double Dragon did first. No other game had done.
I'm not too sure. It's jumping up and down the levels, like kind of platforming as well. With the fighting,
there's a little bit of platform. You're about to come in this level to a very annoying bit where you have to jump over a gap in a bridge, and you have to jump kick it basically to be able to get across it. Here you are. You can get to it now. So it is to do with the levels. It is to do with the design of the levels. It was the first game to have. You see, straight in the water, and again. It was the first game to have a coherently. Kind of narratively flowing levels. You got to jump kick it, dude. To jump that one, jump that gap. So if you look, every level kind of segues into the next one. You finish level 1 and you move straight into the camera pans to the side and you move straight into level 2. You finish level 2, you get a lift down, you move into level 3, and actually you're really doing badly on this, aren't you?
Yeah.
So you're going to have to jump and punch to cross that gap whilst moving to the right.
Nope.
Oh, dearie me. Well, whilst Cal just drowns himself several times. So you can see that there are environmental hazards. So it was the first game where you were actually interacting with your environment in this way, and there's a kind of coherent environment to move through. You can also use the environment to kill your enemies. Similarly, your enemies can use the environment to kill you, so you can knock them off ledges and they can knock you off ledges. I'm kind of waiting for that to happen to Cal here. But there are pits, there are traps. The last level has some absolutely stinking, rotten traps. There we go, into the water. But yeah, that was groundbreaking at the time. Okay, Graham, another thing that it did first.
I don't know. 2-player co-op on screen.
2-player co-op on screen. There were other 2-player co-op games. Bubble Bobble was 1987 as well, which is still got to be one of the most fun games of all time. And unlike this one, you can actually play it 2-player without it slowing down to a complete crawl. But Double Dragon was the first simultaneous 2-player beat-em-up action. And, the idea of being able to go you and a friend stood next to one another in the arcade can then go and take on all these goons together. It was just it set the tone for beat 'em ups after that, and every single beat 'em up, I think, that side-scrolling beat 'em up after this has had 2-player co-op, I believe. Yeah. What other one can we talk about with Double Dragon? So 2-player co-op. Yeah, I'm going to get some really nerdy now. Have I been nerdy enough yet?
No. There's no limit on that in this show.
I can see my man Ben is listening in on this because he's sarcastically commented on your jumping abilities. Now Ben knows very well this story. When I was about 20, how old would I have been? About 25. I qualified as a teacher, and with my first teacher paycheck, at that time I was living in a bungalow with Ben and his girlfriend and a couple of other people, and with my first paycheck, dizzy with glee that I was finally on like a decent salary. I was, I think, rather drunkenly browsing eBay, which is always a bad idea or a good idea, depending on how you want to look at it. And I ended up buying an arcade machine with Double Dragon in it. As a kid, I'd always loved arcade machines, and I'd always wanted one. Every kid of my generation, you wanted one, and yeah, so I ended up buying it, and then immediately after I can't remember, I think it was like on an auction. It was the last few minutes, and I was like, I'll just put in an offer and see what happens. And immediately when I won it, I was like, oh, that's amazing! I've got an arcade machine. I was like, how am I going to get this? So we ended up having to very hurriedly draft in a friend of mine who was in a band, and he drove me up to Liverpool, I think the next day or 2 days after, to fetch it from this gaming shop that was kind of closing down basically, and they had it there, and then we brought it home, and that house we lived in actually was it got slightly crazy because after buying one arcade machine, the Double Dragon one, another of my housemates was like, I've gone and bought another one. I was like, what? And he'd gone and bought a 2-player Virtua Racing one. He got it for an absolute steal. So we had that in the garage. We have a Double Dragon machine in the living room. And then I think we also got lent a pool table or something. So we had all these toys in this house. It was great. But yeah, the Double Dragon machine, it was an impressive beast. And I've got to talk about the board. So these old arcade games work on what's called a jammer system. They're basically huge cartridges, huge arcade PCBs, printed circuit boards that plug into this harness that's called the jammer loom. And that means that they're interchangeable. So if you have a jammer harness, you can. This is what Ben's saying. You could swap the piece. You could swap the printed circuit boards and put different games in. So we end up with a few different games for the arcade machine. But I think Double Dragon was always my favourite one. But the Double Dragon board was an absolute beast. It was massive, and what made it different to the other ones was it was a double stacked board. So this is something that only a few arcade games of this time did. So there were 2 printed circuit boards basically on top of one another, and one of them was for the game and the other one was for all the sound and the music. And Double Dragon had an entire basically printed circuit board dedicated to sound effects and the music, and it used the Yamaha YM2151 chip. I told you I was going to get nerdy here, which is used on a lot of synthesizers in the 80s and stuff like this. And I know Cal's playing the game without the music on, but the soundtrack to Double Dragon, compared to other arcade games, compared to other arcade games of the time, it was epic. Yeah.
While we're testing
Graham.
While we're testing your Japanese pronunciation, can you remember who composed the music for it?
I don't. I have to say I don't remember who composed the music, but it's so good. And I mean the first level music has like it sounds like guitars. It's not guitars, obviously, but it's kind of the synthesized guitars. There's a little guitar solo in it and stuff. And the sound effects to Double Dragon are so crunchy and meaty, and when the characters get kind of knocked out or killed, they go or yeah. Oh,
and I'm just going to say, it looks like I'm carrying around a giant jobby at the moment.
No, that's a boulder. That's a boulder, and you're about to. Yeah. Now this bit's a lot of fun in the game. So you've made it to the entrance of the secret base, and you're going to fight these guys. But in a second, you're going to fight the Incredible Hulk. I'm not even kidding. The Incredible Hulk is going to pop out, and you're going to need to fight him. So Double Dragon, there were so many firsts on this game, and as I said, it's not a perfect game. The engine itself. The fighting engine is great. There's loads of moves. You can do grabs, you can do throws, you can do roundhouse kicks and all this stuff. But as Cal's been demonstrating, the slowdown in this game is absolutely horrendous, and it always has been. It's always been the thing that when you've really got more than 3 or 4 sprites on a screen, it slows down.
Has anyone tried to mod the original game to avoid the slowdown?
Well, do you know what? It's interesting that the Mega Drive port of it, which is probably the most arcade accurate port, there he is, see, big green dude. The Mega Drive port doesn't suffer from any slowdown, and it's horrible because it's so hard, because everything moves so fast. And actually, when players who are good at Double Dragon, so not Cal, they will use the slowdown to their advantage. They'll use the slowdown to get clear of enemies and stuff like this. It's actually not a very difficult game. Cal's making it look a lot harder than it is, but we'll go easy on him because I don't think he's put a lot of practice in. Because the other problem with the game is it's broken. And players very, very quickly realised how broken Double Dragon is as a game, because there's one thing you need to finish this game with 1 credit, Graham.
Back elbow.
Back elbow. So Cal's yet to pull off a back elbow. Mm-hmm. It's simply jump and punch together when your back is to the... anyhow, you can back elbow your way through this entire game. Every enemy falls for it. In fact, it's the only way to defeat Big Boss Willie, because otherwise he'll start machine gunning you, and that basically kills you in one shot. There we go. So there we are. Cal is now into the hidden base. There he is in there. And now this is the level that absolutely sucks. And I'm not going to tell Cal why it absolutely sucks, but it does. So let's see if Cal can figure it out. Oh, that was interesting. He didn't get hit with any of the traps. I've never seen that before. Normally, there are great big things that come out of the wall there and knock you over and take off most of your health. But when you're trying to 1 credit this game, this is the hardest bit of the game, because it unlike the enemies, you just can't predict the pillars that shoot out of the wall there.
Even the spears. There was never a timing aspect to the spears.
The spears are just sometimes get you, sometimes don't. And when you're doing a 1 credit run, this bit is just luck. You can kind of try and do it. So the trick most people do when they're trying to 1 credit this is back elbow their way through it. Yeah. You got to hit them. Hit your hit button. There you go. So you really got to back elbow your way through all the enemies to keep as much health and lives as possible. And then when you get to this bit, you just got to kind of hammer through it and take as little damage as possible before you get to the final fight. So Double Dragon is broken. There, you can see this is just gonna. It's just going to keep doing it. But Callum still has 87 credits. Oh, he's put an extra one in just for luck. So I think he'll be fine. Kishimoto did something that I think is. I'm a bit torn about Double Dragon 2. Have you played Double Dragon 2 much, Graham?
Yeah, again. When I was a kid and found out there was a Double Dragon 2, I was all over it. And I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Just not as much. I don't remember as much about it as I do about this one. You know, all of these levels, as I'm seeing Cal playing them, there's just that kind of Proustian rush of, oh my goodness, I'm 10 again.
And it's so awesome. This the fact that the enemies, the Black Warriors, have this kind of base that has all these crazy traps. And Cal, just go for it, man. Just go for it. You're gonna get hit. Just beast it. You've got loads of credits. See, just keep running. You'll be fine. Well, probably not. Keep going, Cal. Just. You got to get through it. But as you can see, you're trying to 1 credit this. It is just it sucks so badly, this bit. So yeah, Kishimoto he didn't really go back to the drawing board. You know, some beat 'em ups, there's a vast difference between parts 1 and parts 2. You know, Streets of Rage 2 was a completely different fighting engine to Streets of Rage 1. But Double Dragon 2 is basically just a reskin of Double Dragon 1. It was running on the same software. The same hardware, sorry.
It's the Evil Dead 2 of side-scrolling beat-em-ups.
It's good, and I mean it's hard. That's for sure. You cannot just spam your way through it with one move like you can with this. And the graphics are a bit more refined. There's a bit more detail on the sprite work and stuff like that. The levels structurally are very, very similar. You can literally, when you're familiar with the Double Dragon 1 levels, it's all the same beats that you get through with Double Dragon 2. Although there's some cool new environmental hazards in Double Dragon 2. There's one bit where you're in a field and then there's suddenly a combine harvester that like the thing shits out and can, I don't know, thresh you up. But it doesn't slow down as much as well. So they managed to fix that bit and use the engine bed. There's the back elbow. Finally, Cal. There we are. It's it. So now Cal's going to win the game without much problem after this. There is one thing I would like to say. The soundtrack to Double Dragon 2 is probably not as good as Double Dragon 1, apart from the first level. The first level music to Double Dragon 2 is brilliant because it sounds exactly like Phil Collins' Easy Lover. You're going to laugh at me for this, but like seriously, go listen to Phil Collins'.
I'm sorry, but
Can you tell who the music critic is in the chat?
I'm going to have to correct you. It's actually Philip Bailey featuring Phil Collins. It's not Phil Collins.
Is it? Okay, all right, sorry. It's Philip Bailey featuring Phil Collins. But it does sound like Easy Lover, and it's quite, I think it's better than Easy Lover, which is actually quite easy. So there we are. So that's Double Dragon 2. I like it. It's worth a playthrough.
And that's where the series ended, right?
Unfortunately not. No. And do you know what? Double Dragon 2, they did something that pissed a lot of people off because they reverted to the weird control scheme that they had Renegade. So Double Dragon has a fixed button for punch, a fixed button for jump, and a fixed button for kick. Whereas Renegade and Double Dragon 2 is directional. So basically, the left button will always be an attack to the left, and the right button will always be an attack to the right, and the button in the middle is always jump. And depending on whether what direction your character's facing, it will determine whether it's a front attack or a rear attack, if that makes sense. Yeah. So it will always hammer the left button, they'll always make an attack to the left, but it might be a punch if you're facing to the left, or it might be a rear kick if you're facing to the right. And for people that have, gotten used to the control scheme for Double Dragon, it is horrible. It just doesn't work. And I'm glad to say there's a really good package if people want to play these games on their smartphone or tablet or something. You can get the Double Dragon trilogy for a really reasonable price, and it really emulates the first two games brilliantly. And I'm not really. We will have to talk about Double Dragon 3, but it emulates them perfectly. But also, you can do something with Double Dragon 2 where you can have a Double Dragon 1 style control scheme. So you can play through Double Dragon 2, but without the goofy controls. So that's quite a nice thing. Yeah. So yeah, the series should have ended there. And actually, Kishimoto's was not heavily involved with Double Dragon 3 on the arcade. He was involved with the NES game. But you can see now we've got to the point where Marion is tied to the wall, so we're reaching the end of the game. Cal, I'd really recommend just defeating these guys before you scroll on. Otherwise, you're going to get completely swarmed. So, yeah, Graham, tell us about Double Dragon 3.
I don't remember a huge amount about it. I remember hurriedly getting a copy. Was it subtitled Rosetta Stone? Did I imagine
the Rosetta Stone? Yeah. The NES game is called the Sacred Stones, but the NES Double Dragon 3 is different to the arcade Double Dragon 3. But the arcade is the Rosetta Stone, and yeah.
But my memory of getting a copy of it on Amiga was rushed out, getting this game, and rushing home, calling my friend round because we'd played Double Dragon, we played Double Dragon 2. This was a nightly thing for us. And sitting, popping the disc in, and just starting to play it and just feeling really underwhelmed, and quickly going back to the previous games.
Yeah.
It just no. A letdown.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the problem. It's I suppose it's a bit the law of diminishing sequels, but Double Dragon 3 really does suck. It really is awful, and it shouldn't have been so bad. There were some really cool things. If memory serves correctly, you fight a mummy at one point in it, or maybe that was the NES version of it. But there are some cool things in it. There's a third Lee brother. I can't remember what his name is,
yellow.
but he wears yellow. Yeah, where did he come from? Where's he been for the last 2 games? But yeah,
is it Sunny? I think it's Sunny.
Sunny, yeah. Sunny Lee, and I think the problem was by the time the Rosetta Stone came out. So Double Dragon, so Renegade and Neketsu Kuha Kunio-kun, I like saying that. That came out in 1986. Double Dragon 1987. Double Dragon 2 1988. You know, they've hammered through these 3 games. And Double Dragon and Double Dragon 2 really set the arcades on fire, and you know, it was all about side-scrolling beat-em-ups after that, and that's what people wanted to play, isn't it? At that time, and the big boys entered the scene there. So you've got Capcom in 1989 coming out with Final Fight, which is just a quantum leap forward for the beat 'em up genre. I mean, the graphics were amazing. It played so fast. You had dozens of enemies on screen without this slowdown. The move set was a little more limited. You just had one attack button and one jump button, but man alive, Final Fight, I could do a whole other episode of this on Final Fight. What a game. But then, of course, you've not just got that.
What I was going to say was the thing with Final Fight was, compared to Double Dragon, you had 3 characters who had distinct attack styles as well.
Yeah.
Which made a huge difference. And you also, it was the start of that kind of Capcom Extended Universe. Because Hagar was in Saturday Night Slam Masters or something.
That's right, yeah. I mean, Final Fight was actually meant to be a Street Fighter sequel. It was meant to be a Street Fighter sequel. A sequel to the original Street Fighter game. And it's set in Metro City, which is supposedly where some of the Street Fighter games are set and stuff. And, I mean, Final Fight is just so great. And again, it did a lot of the stuff that Double Dragon did. You could pick up weapons. There was lots of different enemies. But as you said, you know, the fact that there were 3 distinct characters, I think Golden Axe came just before Final Fight and had the 3 distinct fighter characters in that. That was Sega, of course. But yeah, I mean, there was nothing else like Final Fight at the time, and Capcom really hit it out the park there. And then, of course, as well as Capcom making games like that, and then, of course, Capcom made some other absolutely stunning side-scrolling beat-em-ups. They made Captain Commando, which is just weird, but so much fun. They made Knights of the Round. They made the... I don't know if you've ever played the Double Dragon side-scrolling beat-em-ups. I know Cal has. They are exceptional. They were around the sort of 1993, 1994, those ones. So they're really at the end of the belt-scrolling beat-em-up genre. But again, Konami did Ninja Turtles in 1989, Turtles in Time and The Simpsons in 1991, X-Men in 1992. X-Men. Then you've got X-Men. Oh man, you can have 4 people at once on a machine. It was just, it was so good. Yeah, same for Turtles as well, and The Simpsons. You know, these Konami. The size of those machines was just amazing.
Those 3, it's total summer holiday memories for me as a kid. You would either go to Largs or you go away somewhere with your parents, and you know, that's how friendships were formed sometimes, because somebody would jump on and they would be the player that nobody else, they would be the character nobody else wanted to be. You're like, hey, you're all right.
Yeah, you're going to play Michelangelo. That's fine. Yeah, because he was terrible. So yeah, those games and those big Konami arcade machines, they would just rake in the money. And of course, they were, the things that were big at the time: Ninja Turtles, The Simpsons, Sega with the Mega Drive. We've got to mention Streets of Rage, or Bare Knuckle as it's known in Japan. The original Streets of Rage, I think, still probably has the greatest video game soundtrack of all time. And again, used the kind of Golden Axe engine, but the amount of different combinations of moves you could pull off. Now here comes Big Boss Willie with his machine gun. Yeah, he's this is not going to go well for Cal now, unless he just keeps using that back elbow. So yeah, the Streets of Rage 1991, Streets of Rage 2 1992, just the amount of belt scrolling beat 'em ups, but it all started really with Double Dragon. Every single one of these games, the foundations were laid here. So although it's a janky game, Cal's probably absolutely sick of it now. He's like, oh, come on, just finish this. It's a janky old game, but its influence cannot be understated. It's so important. And I still look at it and I just think, God, it's so cool as well. Look at that double denim the guy's sporting and stuff like that. So why did side-scrolling beat-em-ups wane in popularity? What do you think, Cal?
Street Fighter, or the dawn of the 3D age, basically.
Yeah, the answer is Street Fighter. The 3D age was a little bit off at this point, but the history of arcades is really, really interesting. Yeah, the history of arcades is for a period between 1987 and probably 1991. That was the period of the side-scrolling beat 'em up, and you just saw these innovations and the games getting more complex, more players, better storylines and stuff like this. But then in 1991, of course, Capcom released Street Fighter 2, and just everything changed. Rather than beating up hordes of people, you're beating up one person with a far more complicated move set at your disposal. And what's better than working side by side with your buddy? Oh, look, he's done it. Look, Here we go. Yeah, so you've beaten them up, and here comes Marion. And we get a bit... look at that. He gets a kiss. Do you know what happens if you play this two-player, though, and you get to this point?
Do I want to ask? Where does it go
then? If you play this two-player and you get to the end of the game, you defeat Big Boss Willie, you actually have to fight your brother. So Billy and Jimmy have to sort of fight one another, and the first person that dies, basically that's it, and the other person gets the girl. So it has a kind of weird ending if you're playing it you're playing it two-player. But yeah, the reality is when Street Fighter 2 came along, particularly 1992, which saw Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition, and then the Turbo Edition, and then Mortal Kombat in 92 as well. That was it. People didn't want to fight alongside their friends. They wanted to rip their friend's head off. Yeah, so here we go. Look, we got Turtles in Time on the go here. This is absolute cracker. This is 1991, this one.
And you missed the awesome intro screen of Winners Don't Use Drugs.
No, we saw it.
Oh, no, I didn't miss that. No, we know that very well. Yeah. I have to say, I like Turtles in Time, but I prefer the original Turtles game. There's more to Turtles in Time. You've got better moves at your disposal. You can do a lot more chucking bad guys towards the screen. You kind of have control over that, whereas it just used to happen randomly in the original Turtles game. But yeah, these games, they fell prey to the rise of the one-on-one fighter, the competitive fighter, and the there's also a kind of financial reason why these games fell out of popularity and the one-on-one fighters grew in popularity. Do you know why?
Because, like, in terms of it making money?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the person that got beat had to spend more credits to come back in, and you've got that competitive element where I want to get my revenge.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep throwing my credits in.
Yeah, I mean, most one-on-one arcade belt-scrolling beat-em-ups are what they call quarter munchers, and the later levels of Final Fight are just absolutely absurd. I've never seen anyone one credit Final Fight. Let's put it that way. It's just absurdly difficult, and the later levels are designed to get you to put money in. But I don't think it's unreasonable to say a good player can, on one credit, maybe get to the end of the third level of Final Fight if they're doing well, before they have to put another credit in. So you're getting a good 10 minutes of play with one credit. A good player with Double Dragon, you can get the entire game in one credit. Not Cal, but someone that's utilizing all the back elbows and stuff. So you're the person that's running the arcade. You've got people paying money, but then they're just standing at the machine. They're not paying any more money for a while. Whereas with the competitive beat 'em ups, your games don't last so long. They're quick, they're brutal. Couple of minutes, and someone else. Yeah. So you've got best of 3 90-second rounds, and then someone has to put more money in if they want to keep playing. And from pure economics, that's why these games were got more popular. And then I think the belt scrolling beat 'em ups as a result got a bit harder. So the people wanted to make money out of them. But the problem is, if belt scrollers are too hard, they're not that fun.
Nope.
The whole thing of a belt scroller and a lot of games is the illusion of power, and you feel like a superhero or a ninja or something beating loads of people up. So if you're getting your ass handed to you all the time, you're going to move on to another game. So you can kind of see why these games fell out of popularity. But I'm glad that in the last sort of maybe last 10 years, there's been a sort of resurgence in these games. Have you played any good modern side-scrolling beat-em-ups, Cal or Graham?
Sorry,
there was the recent T2 game.
Yep.
Yeah. Was that a beat 'em up though, or was that a shoot 'em up?
A bit of both. It kind of mix it up
right.
a little bit. That's by a really cool company called Bitmap Bureau, who are working on a Masters of the Universe side scroller. You probably heard about that.
Now that's coming out. That is going to be a side-scrolling beat 'em up. That looks great. And Bitmap Bureau also have done some cracking games. Actually, they did Xenocrisis, which is absolutely fantastic. Kind of alien-themed Smash TV arena shooter. Really worth checking out. So yeah.
Talking of classics, Shinobi, is that worth a mention?
Yeah, I mean Shinobi. I don't know if I count it as a side-scrolling fighter. I think it's more like a platformer with sort of shooter elements. I think the belt scrollers, they're in this 3D, and it takes more than one hit you have to wear your enemies down and stuff. I think modern ones, there's been some great ones. Streets of Rage 4, which came out six years ago now. I can't believe that. That's absolutely amazing, and probably mechanically the best side-scrolling beat 'em up I've ever played. There was the new Ninja Turtles one. That was good. Yeah.
Yeah. Shredder's Revenge.
Shredder's Revenge was the Ninja Turtles one. Yeah, that was nice. And the Scott Pilgrim one from a few years back was really based on, meant to have the kind of feel of River City Ransom, which again was a Kunio-kun game. So again, we're back to the influence of Yoshihisa Kishimoto again. Yeah, the Scott Pilgrim game was great, but man, you had to grind with it to level up your character because he was so weak to begin with. So the first few levels of that were tortuous, and then when you get a bit more powerful, it was good. What's another good one? There was one that was on the PlayStation 4 called Mother Russia Bleeds, and it was by I'm trying to think who it was by, Devolver Digital, and it was the nastiest, seediest, most violent, really, really violent, dirty, sordid, grotesque experience. It was great. I loved it. That was a very good one. So there have been a lot of good side scrollers. What's that?
Was there a Transformers one in recent years as well?
Not a side scroller.
Was it not a side scroller?
There was
I remember playing a
beat 'em up, which was a cell shaded game, which kind of used the G1 models. That was really good. It was like Destruction or something like that.
Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah. Although, interesting speaking, the very first Transformers game on the 8-bit is a surreal experience. That gets very weird, that game. Because you end up having to beat up a T-Rex that's stamping on a space shuttle on a farm somewhere. Not making that up.
That sounds a special experience. It's I'm conscious of the time. Have we got time to show the good people at home one more game? Because there's one more I'd like to talk about. So I've talked about Double Dragon and like just what an amazing game it is. There's been some decent modern Double Dragon games. Double Dragon Neon was absolutely hilarious. That was a great experience. And Double Dragon Gaiden, which came out just like 2, maybe 3 years ago, that was quite a good kind of roguelike beat 'em up with quite a cute pixel art style. But there's one I think that needs mentioning now, Cal. I'm hoping. No, not that one. No, right. Cal, can you boot up? Can you boot up before we finish? I think we got to give credit to one. Now, hardly anyone talks about this beat 'em up game, and mechanically, I think this is a better game than Double Dragon, but no one knows about it. It's called Violent Storm. It was the last of the Konami side-scrolling beat-em-ups. So they released this in 1993. So that's when like Mortal Kombat 2 was coming out. We're talking about, these side-scrolling beat-em-ups had been really falling out of favor at that time. But Violent Storm by Konami, if anyone has an emulator, I highly recommend trying it out. It is a really remarkably strange one.
That ROM keeps crashing my emulator for some reason.
Not to worry. I'm just going to finish with that then. People should try Violent Storm. It's got the biggest sprites you'll ever see in a side-scrolling beat-up. The pixel art graphics are absolutely fantastic. Yeah. It's got this weird sense of humor in this kind of weird kind of post-apocalyptic Mad Max type world. Again, it's a goofy quest where your girlfriend's been kidnapped and you have to go rescue her. But yeah, Konami's Violent Storm just it takes everything up to 11. And it's well worth checking out. So yeah.
Is that the one? Is it Red Freddy or something?
Yes. There's a bad guy in it, I think, called Red Freddy. There's another guy that has a bag on his head, and when the bag falls off, he's really hideous underneath. There's a demented ticket inspector on the train level. and I think there's lots of pigs running around, and you can pick up the pigs and throw them and stuff like this. It is very strange. And the third level, the music to the game is absolutely fantastic. And the third level has one of those awful 1990s raps in the music.
Oh, yes.
It is. You folks, go and play Violent Storm by Konami. It is absolutely hilarious. But yeah, I'm sorry, I've completely nerded out here tonight, but thank you very much. I love Double Dragon. I could probably talk about it for another 4 hours.
Yeah. I was going to prepare a quiz, but I don't think there's any point to it with you being
Hereward wins, but we're not giving him another medal.
Yes.
Have I got another medal?
No, you have not.
Your reign of terror must end soon. We know that this year's Ocon quiz is...
Just don't ask me any questions about Double Dragon.
You've got a target on your back for this year's quiz, I'll say that. There's a lot of people gunning for your title.
I know. But they won't win. It's especially the round entirely devoted to belt scrolling beat 'em ups. I think I'm really going to nail that one this year. It's
I'm not giving anything away, but yeah, there's been some people ready to challenge you already. Like one has already said he's very much up for the fight. So.
Marvelous. Okay, well, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed boring everyone to tears about my favourite video game of all time.
Yeah, it's also a nice format for a show to talk about a game while someone's playtesting it for the first time. Mm-hmm. It's quite a nice wee format. I think we've started there.
Yeah,
how did you find it, Cal? Was that the first time you've ever played Double Dragon, Cal?
At length. First time at length.
Wow.
I've only ever dipped into it once or twice in the past. That was my first completion of it.
He's popped his cherry.
Yeah, I think
you were very gentle.
I used those 20 credits it took me. So
20 credits is fine for a first go.
And half of those credits with that jump as well. So.
Yeah, I was very nervous. I was very nervous on my first time too, and yeah. It was... How did you find it?
I find it all probably because I don't have that. I've got the memory of it being on the Amstrad, and also due to the Amstrad's infamous inability to side scroll. You know that. Mm-hmm. So that probably affected mine. There was a few games that could side scroll, and that wasn't one of them. So I probably don't have as warmest memory of it. I didn't play it in the arcade, so
yeah.
Actually, I had a real fun time with. What I did have a fun time was Turtles. I'd forgotten how smooth and fluid that game is.
Yeah,
it is ridiculous.
Well, the Konami games. By the time we get to the kind of early '90s, the Konami and Capcom were knocking out the most incredible belt scrollers. So I mean, there's some other Capcom ones that are worth mentioning. Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, which has never received a home release because of licensing issues. Weirdly, it's not the comic book author that owns it. It's the Cadillac, the car company, own the rights to it. Right. Apparently at the moment. But Cadillacs and Dinosaurs is this weird game. It uses the Final Fight engine, but like you get to beat up dinosaurs as well as people in it, and you get to pick up guns as well, which Capcom also did with the Punisher side-scrolling beat 'em up, which is absolutely stunning. So, yeah. But I think for new
X-Men as well.
Oh. Yeah, X-Men. What a game! I'm probably going to have to go play that later on. But yeah, by the time you get to the 90s, you know, the Konami and Capcom and these companies, they got so good at these side-scrolling games. You know, they ran so smoothly, and yeah, when you can have 4 players at once, all you know, playing Ninja Turtles together or something, it's such a joyous experience. And I suppose.
So another side scroller I have very fond memories of on the SNES is Venom versus Carnage. Is it? It's called the Spider-Man game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which surprisingly was made by LJN, which is even more incredible. They made a good game. That company.
I tell you, if we're talking about SNES beat 'em ups, you cannot not mention Batman Returns on the SNES.
Oh yes, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Batman Returns on the SNES was phenomenal. The only thing it lacked was a 2-player mode. It was a weird 1-player beat 'em up, but a very good beat 'em up.
And on that theme, the Batman animated series game on the SNES was gorgeous. It was beautiful game that, as well as being fantastic to play. But anyway, we're starting to go off now on recording.
All right. I think
back
in the day. Yeah. So there we are. Double Dragon, great. Probably if you're completely new to the genre of beat 'em ups, you're probably going to look at Double Dragon and the immense amount of jank in it, and you're probably going to go, "What the hell is this?" But I hope we've done something to kind of illuminate people to the history of this fantastic game and pay tribute to the late great Kishimoto, who, as we said, passed away last week.
And of course, just on that, go and play Total Recall as well. It was our very good friend Simon Butler had a hand in it. We know his opinion on it, and you'll probably share it after playing that as well. So.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yes. Well, thank you very
well,
much.
I think
It's always a pleasure to have you on. Do you know when the next
always
time
a pleasure.
When the next time
I think when the planets align, and hopefully I'll get to do the Pinhead one. I'm quite keen to have a natter to him. Yeah. I wonder if he likes side-scrolling beat 'em ups.
And of course, there is the Bond retrospective series, which will come at some point.
Yeah. That's a big commitment. That one,
that's a labor of love.
Because that is a labor of love, and I mean, I think there's no way we could do all of the Sean Connerys in one. So we'd probably have to make Sean Connery into two. And in all honesty, what
a phrase that is.
We're going
to break Sean Connery in two.
into at least two. But when it comes to the Roger Moores, I'm sorry, I will need 3 to 4 episodes per movie. I probably need 6 for Octopussy. I probably need 6 to break down Octopussy, exactly how brilliant Octopussy actually is. So yeah,
I need a couple for Moonraker.
Oh yeah, definitely 2 for Moonraker.
Anyway, we really are going off track now, but that will come at some point. In some way, we're going to do a Bond retrospective series in some capacity.
But not all of not all of them though.
I think in some way we're going to cover them somehow. There'll be a way. Maybe not movie by movie, but there'll be a way we can do them. Maybe like era or something like that. We can do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, well,
awesome.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Hereward. Thank you, Graham, for joining in. And we're
always
back.
A pleasure.
Same time.
Always a pleasure.
Week.
Yeah.
And it's our first ever Hebridean Midnight Reel, the lovely title I've given to our cult film reviews. And first up, there can be only one. It's Highlander. Yes. Highlander.
I do hope you mention Highlander 3, The Sorcerer there, because that was quite good, that one.
Yeah. Which I will mention, you right now talking, you've got a more convincing Scottish accent than Christopher Lambert has. I think it's fair to say. Without even doing a Scottish accent, you're more convincing than he was. But it's part of the film.
There can be only one.
Yeah. You've probably just offended Mads right now. Her lovely accents. But anyway, we've got that, and then we're going to do a watch-along and commentary on Friday night, where we're going to drink some beers and watch it. What more can you want?
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, everyone. Good night. Like, follow, subscribe, leave some comments on our reviews, share us about, keep the good momentum we've built up. Thank you, everyone, for supporting us, and we'll see you.